The topic of this episode is how to create a personal branding plan in 30 minutes. When I think about personal branding, I've seen what can actually be accomplished, turning someone that has some form of expertise and making them the top thought leader in their industry. So this typically takes a full year and results in an additional 7 figures of revenue for them. So this episode isn't about some hack that will give you a shortcut to that, but we'll focus on the plan to get there. And I can cover that plan in much less than 30 minutes. If you take notes and take what I'm about to say seriously, I guarantee that the type of personal branding plan that you'll create will result in category ownership. You'll be the thought leader that people see everywhere in your industry, and the people who need you will hire you. Let's dive right in. Personal branding for a thought leader has 3 areas, and you need all 3. If you do just one, which most people focus on, they don't do the others, you won't get anywhere. If you do 1 and 2, you'll be stronger, but still the only way to get clients is through hustle and through a lot of cold outreach and networking and things like that. So only if you have all 3 parts do you really have a thought leader business. Okay, so let's talk about the first part. It is thought leader image. Okay, so it's how you look. This is your website. This is your personal photography, like your headshots. It's your logo. It's your style guide, like the colors and the fonts and things. I recommend hiring a professional, not me, but I recommend hiring a professional to help you build your thought leader image. And the best way that I know of to do that is to find examples of other thought leaders that have a really good image, that has the image that you would like to portray. So for example, one day, this is many years ago, when I used to be on Facebook, I saw a new headshot of my friend Ann Webb. And I saw this headshot of Ann and I thought, wow, that's an amazing photo. Who took this? How did you capture a headshot like that? And so I asked her, I found out the name of the photographer, and I ended up hiring that same photographer. I recommend the same, like find other thought leaders out there. It doesn't have to be in your industry, but find someone who is really good at capturing the specific type of image that you would like to have. Find somebody who has designed a website that looks amazing. Look at their whole portfolio of websites and see, do they do the same cookie cutter style for all their clients? Or do they have unique branding and unique colors? Do they create a complete style guide for their clients? Same with the logo design. Find somebody who's designed great logos for thought leaders and look at a lot of examples so you can get a variety. So for all those attributes of your thought leader image, your action plan is to figure out who you will hire to help you with each of those steps. Okay, now let's talk about the second part, which is thought leader messaging. This is so critical. I wish I would have known this part much earlier in my entrepreneurial journey. So I'll address the thing that I was confused about for the longest amount of time, okay? Your thought leader messaging needs to have clarity on who you help and the problem that you solve, okay? Now there is a system that you'll do that. There's a way, there's a technique, there's a method or a process, there's a trademarked whatever that you have that will help your clients go from point A to point B. That's your uniqueness. That's your system. That's what you're strong at. That is not part of your messaging. That confused me for a long, long time. I'm really good at YouTube SEO or YouTube AEO. I'm really good at my leaf strategy. And so I marketed that everywhere. I tried to let people know, hey, I'm really good at this. I'm really good at that. Look at my system. Look at my leaf strategy. What I should have been doing is focusing on the outcome, the problem that I solve, or the solution that I provide, or even the transformation that I create. So you do need to have clarity on what your system is, obviously, right? You know what your expertise is, you know your method, but you need to then also articulate, what is that outcome? Where do I lead people? I don't just provide hourly coaching or consulting. I don't just do counseling sessions. I don't just give regular training. I do all those things to lead to some result, to lead to some outcome. So articulate that. What is that outcome? And then, who is it that you help get that outcome? Right? Somebody goes from point A to point B, so they experience a before and after, or they experience some type of transformation. Who is that? A lot of personal branding experts will talk about your avatar and they're this age, they're this gender, they have this many kids, this is the type of car that they drive. They'll even get into psychographics, right? But demographics and psychographics only take you so far. Here's a secret that will allow you to go way deeper, but it's actually way easier than figuring out those demographics and psychographics and knowing, is that too limiting or is that right? Should I tweak anything? See, when you know exactly the solution that you provide and the type of people that want that solution, you can reverse engineer this, or you can find the questions that those people are asking online. You could do question research. So this is different than keyword research. We're not just looking for keywords. That's your industry. That relates to your expertise or your subject matter. Definitely can relate to your outcome. But we need long, specific questions because that takes us back to who these people are. We know exactly what problem they're trying to solve. So for example, let's say you're a productivity expert and you have systems that you can use or tools that you can use to help people become more productive. Well, when you do some digging and you find a question, you're going to find questions like how to improve productivity in a dental office. Do you see how specific that question is? But do you see how much data that gives you? You know exactly who you're talking to. So most personal branding experts, they only talk about 1 and 2 because they think that this next part that I'm going to teach you about, they think, well, that's part of marketing. I don't deal with marketing. I just deal with personal branding. But if you do personal branding the right way, number 3 is positioning. So number 2 is defining who you help, and number 3 is defining where they find you, like where you're positioned. So to carry on the example of productivity, if this dental team needs your help, right, they need help with productivity, then you can make a video speaking to them, answering their question about how to increase productivity in a dental office. So whether it's the dentist or the dental hygienist or the receptionist, they're doing a search online, they're searching on ChatGPT or searching on Google or YouTube, your video pops up in front of them. Of course, they're going to watch it. And it doesn't matter that this video is not going to go viral because only a handful of these dental clients are going to find it, but they're going to see you as the expert. They're going to see you as the person that they need to hire. They're going to watch the video all the way to the end. So the real focus of the third part of your personal brand positioning is deciding where do you want to be positioned? Where do you want to be found? What category do you want to own so that anyone in that category, anyone around the world, like your dream clients that don't know that you exist, when they are searching online, they find you at the top. So they ask a question on Google, oh, there you are. And then they go to YouTube and they ask a follow-up question, oh, there's one of your videos. They have another question, they go to ChatGPT, they're doing some research, and ChatGPT says, hey, you should watch this video from this person. So there you are again, you rank at the top everywhere. That's what I call category ownership. That's the third part. That is thought leader positioning for your personal brand. Now let's take a step back just for a minute, because a lot of people, when they have part 1 done and they do a really good job of part 2, they don't do part 3. What do? Well, they do ads. They do paid advertising, but that defeats the purpose because you're putting this amazing brand that you just created in front of people in a way that annoys them, in a way that causes them to put up their defenses. Okay, so paid ads are kind of the least effective way to position yourself as a thought leader to really grow your personal brand. Other ways are networking or cold outreach, right? Referrals are wonderful. We love referrals. But when you compare all of that, even referrals, because referrals are amazing, but they're so hard to scale. So when you compare everything to online search, whether that's Google, YouTube, or ChatGPT, search is something that you can grow. Search is something that is evergreen. So it really allows you to build momentum from month to month, from year to year. And search is the only thing that actually allows you to own your category. Everything else, as soon as you stop your efforts, as soon as you stop your ad spend, you disappear. You don't own anything. But when you take over search and you own a category, you can go on vacation and leads are still going to be coming in. So now you have a plan, but before you start implementing it, I recommend watching one more video. It's called What is Thought Leadership? In that episode, I'm going to answer some important questions for you, such as what level of expertise is required for thought leadership, and also how personal branding fits into becoming a thought leader. And I'm going to show you the difference, because some experts become the obvious choice in their industry, while others are struggling to get noticed. So I'll link to that episode right there. I'll see you there.